HerO, he is our red Protoss in the top left. One of the fan favorites, I'd say, right now, because he's been pioneering a lot of Protoss, I wouldn't say builds, but in terms of Protoss tactics, strategies, and different little maneuvers that Protoss has been doing.
I'm going to pioneer new Protoss builds. I have this no warp gate PvP style. It's so good, man. I'm telling you. And I can't take full credit because Day9 gave me a little bit of the beginning. So.
That's true. But you guys might see it. Andre's been teaching some of his members from It's Goes to Huangxin's been practicing with him in PvP. You guys might see it, but we'll let you know if it ever comes up. But for now, we'll focus on these players in the bottom right. Nony, our blue Protoss, Tyler Wasilewski, the greatest player, the greatest foreign player from Brood War. Everyone's heard the stories, but everyone's wondering, is he able to kind of regain his form? He's shown flashes of brilliance throughout the weeks of NASL, but in the end, he's still 1-2, and he needs this win. I mean, HerO can afford to drop a series here and there, but Nony is currently at -2 points. He's tied with Crazy Moving, but if he loses the series, he's going to move to the bottom half of the division, or even further down the division, while other people are moving up. So this is a must-win for Nony.
Really quickly, we had a double 15 assimilator coming out from HerO. Very interesting build. Yeah. So he's prioritizing getting a ton of minerals in this beginning stage, and then, boom, just switches completely over to a lot of gas. I like this. I think there's a lot of different tech options, especially with being cross-positioned on Antiga Shipyard. Nony has done more of a traditional style, getting only a single gas. We'll see if he actually reacts. Normally people will, but no, he gets a Zealot instead of an assimilator.
Yeah, and he actually delayed his gateway too. He got on 13 instead of the standard 12, so he was just doing a little bit more economic route, but nothing too game-breaking whatsoever. But yeah, the double assimilators will be the thing to focus on, whether or not HerO is going to tech up really quick to a Twilight Council and maybe DTs. Or he can go for a really fast robo. We've seen some people squeeze out an Immortal incredibly quickly sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And it depends, apparently, whether or not HerO is going to scout, but he isn't really going to get there in time before he has to make a decision.
Now, there are a lot of mind games that go into this. Nony right now has a chance to outdo his opponent in terms of just sheer gas allocation. What do I mean by that? Well, right now, HerO's in a point where his opponent could be doing anything. He kind of has the initiative because he knows Nony has the advantage in minerals no matter what.
Oh, he's going Phoenix. That's really interesting.
Is he really?
We haven't seen that in a really long time, just because Phoenix is kind of like the odd cousin of Protoss builds. You have your standard, you know, warp gates kind of rush, whether 3 or 4 gate. You have Robo, you have Twilight, Blink, DTs, and all these kind of things. But Phoenix is just kind of this odd thing where people haven't had too much experience playing it. But one person who should have experience playing it is Nony. He's actually one of these people back when StarCraft 2 was first coming out, was revolutionizing, quote-unquote, Phoenix play.
This guy was a big proponent of using Phoenixes all throughout every single matchup. He tried to do it in PvT, I remember. He had I remember his game, I forgot who it was, against Select, actually, in one of the MLGs. We were on Phoenixes on one of the worst maps in I
remember he tried to do it against Pain User in Kulas Ravine too. It was really interesting.
Oh my goodness! I'm just thinking back to all the maps that we used to play on. I'm like,
and he's having like shudders. You can see Andre shaking.
God, dude.
But
it is a robotics facility follow-up, so this is some sort of Immortal plus Phoenix plus Mass Gateway type timing, and I really like this style overall. I think it's so effective because normally pushes don't work in this early game stage because of the sentries being so powerful, but now the Phoenixes can fly over and just pick them up, kill them immediately, and then what do you have? You don't have a lot to actually defend against the onslaught of Immortals.
Yeah, and HerO, I like the fact that he uses his first Phoenix for immediate scouting so he can respond accordingly, especially with the first unit out of the Robo. Very, very important, because if you see any kind of rush, like, okay, well, I need to you know, obviously get an Immortal out instead of an Observer. But now that HerO sees everything, he sees the Twilight Council as well. He has really good intel, and he's going to feel comfortable enough to get an Observer.
I think one of the big things that he wanted to see going in there was if his opponent was going Blink Stalkers. If it was a 3-gate Blink, then I think Nony would be in a much better position right now. Unfortunately for him, obviously he doesn't get that.
Observer, man. Super close. But yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
That's all.
Oh, okay, the 3-gate Blink. Yeah, you know, that could hit at a pretty big timing. And HerO, he is getting those Immortals out, but at the same time, Phoenix just throws some kind of a very interesting twist into things. just because, again, they're really good. They're not just good in terms of harassing, but they're good disabler units to really make sure whether or not you want to pick up their immortal, if you want to disable their sentries, if you're busting the ramp. There's different things you can do with it. So I'm interested to see what hero prioritizes in the fight.
Well, let's look at what Nony is prioritized. He's going charge.
Oh,
and
yeah,
charge is one of the more interesting choices, I think, overall, because it gets eaten up to Phoenixes. I mean, Zealots are really bad against them, so I don't know if he's doing some Archon Zealot timing. I'm really confused about this build, but we'll see in a little bit. Now, everything is shown right now.
It looks like a blink,
Zealots.
too.
Is it going to be blink?
No, I'm saying the way Nony's setting it up.
Yes,
initially looks like blink, but also the Phoenix is scouted the Templar Archive, so HerO should have a good idea, especially with that many Zealots.
So it's a Zealot Archon.
Yeah.
So he's trying to hard counter his opponent completely.
Yeah. Phoenixes can't lift Archons.
Correct.
Not even if they try really hard.
Not only that, a lot of times you have a problem with your opponent just using Sentry Force Shields for themselves, and the Zealots are useless. They're rendered completely useless.
Yeah.
So the Archons are obviously able to break them very easily. It gives him a fighting chance, but it's not that at all. A robotics bay is actually made, and we have Colossus inbound.
Look at this. HerO also proxy to Pylon, so if Nony's not careful, and he spends too long at the bottom of the ramp of HerO, he could also get counterattacked and lose his ability to really keep up the production. And Nony only really needs one Archon to really do this. He doesn't have to make too many, but we'll see whether or not HerO's able to defend. His first Colossus is about 1/4 of the way. And do you think this timing is the exact point which Nony should hit?
I think this timing won't work out too well. The Archon needs to be on the ramp at all times. That means it can't really go through. Still, you're going to be bottlenecked, and there's a lot of sentry energy right there. That is 8 total sentries, or 8 total force fields. The Archon needs to be shimmying around all over the place, and with only one Archon, and now the Colossus is inbound, on the way out, actually.
Yes.
Just a couple seconds. This is not going to work out too well.
An interesting dynamic, too, is that the Observer from HerO and Nony are very vulnerable. The stocks, of course, do outnumber that of HerO, so he can kind of outrange it, but the Phoenix has also sniped it incredibly quickly due to the light property. So Nony's going to do his best to really protect that Observer, because that shuts down any of his real ability for his stock to support from the low ground. HerO's just expanding at the bottom of the ramp, feeling very confident. And you were saying, you know,
he's doing this because he saw the bottom right-hand position, the Nexus going down. So he's like, okay, well, my opponent isn't actually committing to this.
Yeah.
I can back up and just take my expansion. That's totally fine.
And his Zealots are now in the main base of Nony, but Nony, of course, has his own 3 Zealots, so he should be completely fine. Keep in mind, he also has charge, so his initiation is stronger. HerO immediately sending his Phoenixes, realizing that Nony is going to fall back for the meantime. And we have ourselves, like, late game PvP. The fact that we're able to go to second 2 base on 2 base. But it's pretty cool watching both players make good decisions. I like the fact that Nony just didn't throw his units. Too many times people are like, well, I invested so much into this attack, I'm out to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, great patience shown out of Nony thus far.
But Nony hasn't been making any probes this whole time. And now that these Phoenixes are ravaging the base, it's 22 Harvesters to 34, so a pretty big advantage for Liquid HerO. Not only that, he has the stabilizing agent, which is the Colossus. At this whole time, Nony will be just constantly preparing for some sort of push. But Nony has no push for himself. He can't be like, oh, I'm going to overwhelm you, because he doesn't have the economy to actually pump over his opponent. The only thing he can do is get positioning on those Colossus, some sort of, clamp down, surround, pincer attack. That's the only thing he can go for. But look, he doesn't have upgrades. He doesn't have forges. He's just a long ways away from everything that's so important. And if HerO just plays like this, doesn't push out, he'll just macro and win.
Yeah. And you can see that HerO, his margin is very significant. 10 probes just means that much more gas you can even get as well, because he has that third geyser compared to Nony, and just picking off a probe stings. Nony is actually going for a counterattack, because I think he realizes he's just going to fall further and further behind because he doesn't have a real direct answer. But the problem is, just like you were saying, Zealot Archon was meant to be in the open areas where you can flank the Colossus, not in the small little choke that HerO's setting up with the pylons.
And this pylon is a HerO pylon. I love the positioning. There it is, another one going down here.
Fantastic.
Now, what good is that charge? The charge a lot is rendered useless at this point. And here we go. Colossus are just going to beat down on all these Zealots. They're clumped up in a nice position. and there's no way that Nony could break this.
And Nony, his units are clumping perfectly. This is a Colossus Dreamland. The 3 Colossus, one will drop. No, one actually stays alive as Nony is not really able to do anything. His supply dipping extremely low. There, one Colossus finally drops with no real follow-up. GG. And HerO takes game number 2 in convincing fashion.
What important Phoenixes, I want to say. And I love the patience, only getting 3. Overall, that was just the greatest possible.
Making it.
Exactly. Yeah. He saw his opponent was going for that charge lot Archon build, and he said, whoa, Phoenixes are not good against this. I'm not going to do that anymore. And he just went the army composition that kept him alive. And from there, he knows he can always use his Phoenixes. The build that Nony is doing doesn't really have a lot of potential scaling into that later game stage. It's still very relevant in the mid game, but you need that economic boost. With the Phoenixes out, he sees the probe counts. He knows exactly what calls to make, and overall, he was just able to make the better calls because of the Phoenix and the intelligence that it gained.
Let's take a closer look at what happened, some of the most important moments of the match. Obviously, the big thing was the pylon wall off, but what made it a little bit harder also was just like these constant force fields, making it even that much harder for the Zealots that already were funneling to get further. So you can see HerO very comprehensive in his defense. Love this Colossus positioning, and of course 4 Colossi against 2 Sentries and 3 Stalkers left. Nony had nothing else really to GG, and just well done there.
Yep, very well played by HerO.
Great reactionary play from HerO, showing that his PvP is still very good. Just that, you know, he had a little hiccup there against Squirtle, who will go to the GSL Finals. Guys, that game and series was brought to you by GameMinder, the application that lets you know about upcoming NASL broadcasts, as well as upcoming game demos and releases like Diablo 3 next week, which us at NASL will have a special presentation for you. More information on that later. But don't go anywhere. Game number 3, series number 3, excuse me, between Dark Force and Show will be after this break, so don't go anywhere. We're only halfway through this day on Division 2 and week number 5 at NASL Season 3.